A goat walked into an arena full of rhinos, horses, and panthers, and somehow, nobody could stop laughing. Then nobody could stop watching. Now nobody can stop talking about it. Sony Pictures Animation's latest release, GOAT, arrived in theaters during NBA All-Star Weekend and immediately caught fire, crossing $50 million at the North American box office within its opening weeks and surpassing $100 million worldwide, numbers that surprised even the most optimistic studio projections. For an animated sports film with a relatively modest profile heading into release, the numbers tell a story that echoes the one on screen. Underestimated, unlikely, and impossible to ignore. At the center of the film is Will Harris, a young goat with outsized ambitions in a world built for bigger creatures. The sport is called Roarball, a hyperkinetic, full-contact riff on basketball, where the courts double as battle arenas, complete with stalactites crashing from stadium roofs and lava erupting from the floor. The players are massive, the hits are real, and Will, by every measurable standard, has no business being there. But that's precisely the point. The film draws its emotional backbone directly from real life. NBA superstar Stephen Curry, who serves as a producer on the project and voices a giraffe in what critics have called a satisfying touch of self-aware irony, spent the early years of his career being dismissed as too small, too thin, and too fragile to compete at the highest level. That story is embedded in every frame of GOAT, lending the underdog premise a weight that animated sports films don't always manage to carry. Curry's presence behind the camera gives the movie a credibility that the premise alone might not have earned. Caleb MacLachlan, widely recognized for his years on Netflix's Stranger Things, voices Will with a sincerity that grounds the film even when the action around him spirals into pure spectacle. He's matched by Gabrielle Union as Jet, a panther who is the reigning star of Will's favorite team, the Thorns, and whose story arc about late career determination runs parallel to Will's own. The voice cast extends further to include David Harbour, Nick Kroll, Nicola Coughlan, and Oscar-winning singer and actress Jennifer Hudson, whose contributions critics have cited as among the film's strongest assets even when other elements fall short of expectations. The Roarball sequences are the film's most kinetic and visually ambitious sections, pulling audiences through jungle courts and Arctic ice arenas at a pace that some reviewers have compared to standing beside a helicopter at takeoff. The animation is dense, loud, and deliberately overwhelming, a stylistic choice that has polarized critics but proven enormously effective with younger audiences and basketball fans who came specifically for the spectacle. Reviews have been mixed in ways that reveal more about audience expectations than about the film itself. Several critics noted that GOAT leans heavily on familiar animated film templates, drawing easy comparisons to Zootopia and Sing in its approach to a world populated by talking animals with human ambitions. The social media saturation written into the film's world, characters perpetually scrolling, filming, and reacting online struck some reviewers as a distraction, and others as an accurate mirror of the culture the film is clearly aimed at. The plot mechanics follow a path well worn by sports stories: rejection, persistence, team cohesion, a moment of crisis, and redemption earned just in time. What keeps GOAT from being dismissed is the consistency of its central message and the unexpected commercial conviction of its timing. Releasing against the backdrop of NBA All-Star Weekend meant that the film landed precisely when basketball culture was already at a seasonal peak, and clips of the Roarball sequences spread rapidly across TikTok and YouTube in the days surrounding the release, building organic momentum that a more conventional marketing campaign might not have generated on its own. The film is not subtle about what it wants to say. Greatness, in the world of GOAT, is not a birthright granted to the largest or loudest. It is earned, game by game, in rooms full of people who have already decided you don't belong. That message, delivered at a volume that rattles theater seats, has found its audience, and based on the box office trajectory, that audience is still growing. Whether GOAT earns a permanent seat at the table of animated classics is a conversation that will take years to settle. But what has already happened in theaters across North America and beyond is difficult to wave away with a critical shrug. This is a film that arrived without the thunder of a franchise, without a sequel already greenlit, without the kind of marketing spend that turns mediocre films into unavoidable cultural events. It came in as a small goat in a room full of bigger releases, and that is exactly the kind of poetic irony that Stephen Curry, of all people, would appreciate. The box office doesn't lie. Audiences, especially younger ones, responded not just to the chaos and color of the Roarball courts, but to something quieter underneath all the noise, the feeling that being underestimated is not the end of the story. It might be the beginning of the best one. That feeling is hard to manufacture, and harder still to fake. Goat found it, however imperfectly, and audiences felt it enough to keep coming back. So here is the question worth sitting with after the credits roll. Did this film move you, or did it just move fast? Was there a moment in Will Harris's journey that hit differently than you expected walking in? And if you have kids who left that theater fired up, dreaming a little bigger than they did 2 hours before, does the critical score printed on Rotten Tomatoes actually matter? Drop your answer in the comments below, because that conversation is worth having. If you want to keep up with everything hitting screens, the surprises, the disappointments, and the ones nobody saw coming, subscribe and leave a like. It genuinely makes a difference, and so does every voice in the comments.